If you've ever dreamed of packing up your life with kids and setting off to travel the world, this interview with Emily is so incredible because she shares how her family did just that. They have 3-year-old twins, and since January, they have been trekking across the world. They went to the trails of Nepal, they biked through Vietnam, they discovered vegan eats all over Asia. They road tripped the Australian coast and now they're in Europe in a camper. In this episode, we dive into how they took this dream and really made it reality, and how their boys have handled it, and what kind of mindset that they have had as parents to keep traveling and doing this lifestyle with kids. So it's a super inspiring conversation. You're going to love it.
Welcome to Let's Go Outside, a podcast bringing moms together to chat about the raw, unfiltered reality of doing the exploring we love after having kids. No matter your comfort level of adventuring with the little ones, this is a space to have honest conversations about the real struggles of getting out the door with the kiddos. I'm Danica, a mama living in a small mountain town who's totally obsessed with healthy food and taking my kids outside every single day. I professionally guided backpacking trips in the Canadian Rockies, and I'm certified as a Leave No Trace instructor. On the show, you'll hear real experiences from other moms, plus tips on gear, trail snacks, and the best practices in the wilderness. Whether it's hiking, camping, backpacking, skiing, or traveling the world you want to do more of, this is your place to learn, find encouragement, and strip away any comparison. Come embrace both motherhood and the outdoors. Stick around. This is your place. Welcome to the Outdoor Mom Club.
Welcome to the Let's Go Outside podcast. I am super excited to chat with Emily today. I think we connected when I was international, and she is currently traveling the world. So her Instagram is Got Busy Living, and I'm just super excited to hear about her family. So welcome here, Emily, and would you please tell us about yourself?
So I'm Emily. I am 32. I've always lived in North Wales in the UK. And as you said, we're currently traveling the world. We're 8 months into our around the world trip on a sabbatical from work.
How did you start traveling and exploring and hiking?
So I'd say my interest in hiking and traveling started in university. I remember starting my first year and moving into my dorms and chatting with my new uni mates, and I remember one particular person showed me their travels from Southeast Asia, in particular Cambodia. And I remember it was Angkor Wat, and I remember showing me pictures of the trees growing through the temples and thinking like, wow, this looks amazing. And there was no like social media, no Instagram in particular anyway in university. So all my inspiration came from chatting with new people and listening to their stories. So I think, around that age, around 19, I was like, wow, there's so much to see out there. So it wasn't long after that I booked a trip to Tanzania solo for 4 weeks. And it was very much out of my comfort zone, that was. I'm quite shy and quite like an introvert, so I really did have to push myself. But I had the absolute best time there. I taught children English. I went on safaris. I went to various cultural villages, and I came back, and I think I was just like hooked on travel from then. So after that, I then booked a solo and guided trip to Nepal to hike, and I spent a month in the mountains just on my own. I crossed a 5,000-meter pass. I then flew from Nepal to South Africa, and I spent 6 weeks backpacking from Johannesburg down to Cape Town. I came home, absolutely had the absolute best time. And that was kind of my early 20s. And then I met Phil, my partner. We've been together for 10 years. And I remember on our first date, we just knew we had the both both had a dream for like an adventurous lifestyle. We had this dream, same dream, to do the Mongol Rally. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's kind of essentially a race that goes from London all the way to Mongolia, and you have to do it in a car that's under a litre, under 500 pounds, and it's a real adventure race. We're still not yet to do it, but we just that was our dream. Yeah, like a few weeks after our first date, we went on our first holiday together. Ever since the annual leave we've had any opportunity, we've travelled. And we took a year off in 2019. We did a big around the world trip. We then had a house, bought our first home together. Yeah, had children, and then doing it all over again right now.
Wow. I am so impressed that you took your motivation and your interest in traveling and went and did those big trips by yourself. That is a big step. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, it was great. Definitely kind of difficult, a challenge, but so rewarding.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And so how was the transition into parenting?
I think after doing all that traveling, we were definitely ready for children. Obviously, we built a VW camp. We bought a VW camper. We built it for the two of us and to have one child. And obviously, twins came along, which was the biggest shock of our lives. Never expected to have. We don't have twins in our family, so yeah, that was a real big shock to the system to go from no children to a family of four instantly. So I did find the maternity very difficult. I think you always have an expectation of how your maternity, your year off from work's going to be, and I expected to be hiking in the mountains, bonding in the mountains with a baby on your front and then on your back in a hiking carrier. But it was very different to that from having the twins. There was lots of time spent at home, kind of lots of more anxiety about leaving the house, even kind of meeting friends, kind of just having not one newborn, but adventuring with two newborns is a whole new level of difficulty and
Mm.
challenges. And, so I really struggled with that, but we found ways to adventure and get out the house and spend time in nature. Yeah.
So was it once they got to a certain age, do you feel like your emotions changed, or do you feel like you just slowly built up to doing more adventures, or how did that postpartum season shift for you?
I think the big thing was I think actually when we set out to do this hike, it's called the Sandstone Trail. It's about an hour away from us. And it's a 4-day hike, about 40 miles. And yeah, we had this expectation that we could do it, we could backpack it. And the boys were about maybe 12 months old. And it just ended up being so difficult carrying two 12-month-old babies and your camping gear, all your hiking gear, your food, all the utilities. It was just impossible. Like, we managed about 2 days and it just wasn't fun. So we stopped. We didn't want to carry on. If it wasn't fun for us, it wasn't fun for the boys. And that's when we found e-bikes and bike packing, um, and the Mac ride or the shotgun. And that was just an absolute game changer for us to be able to find something that works for us as a family, but also me, as I work part-time, so I spend a lot of the time with the boys. For me to be able to get outside, the bikes was just, just the best investment I've ever bought. I don't think I'd
Okay.
ever go back to hiking at the moment. I think bikes are the way forward if you've got young twins, until they can walk themselves a decent distance.
Do you have a system that you recommend? Like, what is your go-to? Like, is it an e-bike with a kid in the front and the back, or
Yeah,
could you
so
share about that?
I try to take all options possible. So we have, obviously the e-bike. which just helps with, we live in quite a hilly area. If I didn't have the e-bike, I just wouldn't be able to go on these adventures. I wouldn't be able to carry 2 children, a trailer, and all the gear. It would just be too difficult, unless you're like super, super fit. So
Yeah.
I use the e-bike, the Mack ride at the front, and then I have a typical child seat on the back, and then the double trailer, the two-lay. It's the two-lay cross trailer on the back. So if they want some chill time or listening to their YouTube plays or nap time, they go in the trailer, and then most of the time they're up on the front on the Mack ride or shotgun, which they absolutely adore going on.
Can you share your mindset with Phil, maybe from your and Phil's perspective of what your mindset is about exploring with your kids?
Just doing it with children just seems so natural, even though it can be very, very difficult. We've always just found ways that work. We learn from our mistakes. Yeah, it's just about finding ways that work for you and your family, and obviously being like fun for everyone.
Yeah.
So you're presently on a year-long trip with your twins and your partner. How did this dream come to be? And yeah, how did you go for it?
I've always said I wanted to travel when I have children. Before we put them into when they go to school, we realised that this is probably the best time to do it, because as soon as they're in school, it could be really, really difficult to get a year off. So we just ended up setting a date, and we've just committed to that date. So it was kind of all about saving then. So we saved for maybe about 18 months. We opened high interest accounts. We applied for a sabbatical from work so we could have 12 months off. And we just, committed to saving it as much as possible. And it was really difficult. We were like passing ships, going, I was working, Phil was working, but it's our dream. So we just had to do that to make it happen.
Yeah. Sometimes it makes it easier if you have something that you're working towards that you really, really want, and it's very tangible and it's coming. And so that's really cool that you guys were able to just put your heads down and go for it. So had you done any international traveling with your boys before you got off?
No, we've done lots of little trips. So we started actually just in a car with a tent. So their first kind of holiday was camping in the UK. We went to Cornwall when they were about 6 months old. We spent 2 weeks in a tent when they were pretty young, crawling. So that was really interesting. And I think a few months after that, when they were about 9 months, we went into Europe with them, and we drove from the UK down to Croatia, stopped in Austria and Slovenia, and we did lots of hiking. But apart from camping, I'd not been to Asia before, so it was definitely a big shock for them, culture shock for them, and it did take a little while for them to adapt, but it's been absolutely incredible so far.
Okay, so for those listening who don't know where you've been so far, or kind of what's been going on, do you want to share about maybe where you've been and what countries you chose? And then maybe we'll go into more details after, but if you just kind of give us an overview right now.
Yeah, so we chose Southeast Asia as our starting point because we'd both been there several times before, and we knew that those countries were relatively safe, very friendly, just generally easy to travel in. So we started in Thailand. After Thailand, we went to Vietnam, then to Australia, hiking in Nepal, Borneo, and Malaysia.
Okay, wow. And so how much of that did you have planned out before you left?
So we had our initial flights booked to Thailand. We also knew which countries we wanted to go to. We didn't want to have this trip about ticking off countries. We wanted to just have the best time with the boys. We just wanted to travel to the countries that we knew that they would have the most fun in and have get the most experience out of. So we had booked the initial flights, but then we kind of booked the accommodation the flights as we went along.
Okay. So, and this, your timeline is 2025 that you got off work, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to hear about, I know that you stayed with host families, trekked in Nepal, and different things. And so I'd love for you to maybe share some highlights or some lowlights of each country, if you'd be willing.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, as I said, we started off in Thailand, in Bangkok, and it was a bit of a rough start, to be honest. The boys got pretty poorly within the first week. I mean, the first week we used our travel insurance.
Okay.
They ended up in hospital, bless them. They had the flu. So it was, yeah, it was really tough. So
How
we
was
decided,
going into a hospital in Thailand?
well, we went into a private hospital. So it was actually, yeah, it was actually really amazing, actually. They had soft play in the children's ward, colouring. Everybody was super, super friendly. So it was a really positive experience. Yeah, we were a little bit
Okay.
nervous about it, but we did our research and we chose to go to a private hospital. And I think that, yeah, definitely was the best decision for it. Yeah. So yeah, after that kind of stressful start, we decided to go to an island in Thailand, and that's when the boys like really started. You could see they were relaxing a lot more. They just were, yeah, having the best time playing on the sand. And I always will remember this moment that we found a vegan restaurant on the island. Up until then, like the first 2 weeks, the boys just like really didn't trust the food, even familiar food that we'd have at home. They wouldn't eat mangoes, they wouldn't eat the tofu. They like even rice, they were just weren't too sure about. So, but when we got to the island, they yeah just totally relaxed there, and some music came on, some like jazz music came on, and they just hopped off their seats and they started dancing, and then they had like a crowd around them, and that was just like a really memorable moment for us, where we just was like, yeah, this is the right decision. They're really enjoying this, so it's really nice to see.
Aw.
Um, and especially I think Nepal has made a lasting impression on us from seeing them. We stayed with a guide that he said I think we were the third people that stayed in his village ever, like tourists. So that was really, really amazing to stay in his family home. It was a big eye opener. The goats welcomed you to the home. We stayed right on this amazing like plateau at the top, and just so friendly. Like they just, yeah, it was really back to basics, but just incredibly friendly. Yeah, just something we'll
Wow.
always remember.
Yeah. And tell us more about Nepal. So you went hoping to do trekking, and so how did you find a local guide and go about that with 3-year-olds, like little kids on a trail?
Yeah, so we were a little bit nervous looking for a guide. We originally wasn't going to hire a guide, but we realized that whilst we've hiked before, and if we've not been able to find the way and the boys were unsettled, then it adds a lot of stress. Having a guide with us just felt like the right idea, that we also knew, like, he knew the local knowledge, the area, and we just wanted to find a guide that had a lot of patience as well. So we were a little bit nervous. We went to like the big companies. We were asking, do you have a guide that would be super, super flexible? And they were giving these itineraries, like, yeah, you work walking like 15 miles today, 12 miles the next day. And we were like, oh, we don't want this. We want someone that would, follow our lead. And if the boys just like we came across a village that we really liked, that we'd stop, and that the guide was happy for that. So we came across a guide on TripAdvisor that somebody had said that he'd used him for 18 years, and how fabulous he was, and super, super patient. So we contacted him via WhatsApp, and yeah, he was great. He was absolutely fabulous with the children. He was holding their hands, he was helping us carry them. So that really added to our experience.
That's so special. Wow. So what did you end up hiking in Nepal? Was there a specific trail?
Yeah, so we chose the Langtang Trail and the Tamang Heritage Trail for the children. We chose this because it was relatively close to Kathmandu, so we didn't have to take another flight out to Pokhara. It was I think it was like 6 or 7 hours bus journey, which was quite difficult. It was such a bumpy road, like the whole way. But even that, and it was just packed. Everybody was bringing their goats and their chickens on. People were on the roof, and there was just no space at all. Me and my partner was in the aisle, and the children were right at the back on the locals. So, yeah, it was a great first start to the trek, and the trek was just absolutely stunning. The villages we went through just was if nothing had changed in the last 100 years. Everybody was washing their clothes outside. It was just really, really amazing for the boys to kind of just go out and play with the local children. But yeah, it was really difficult though. The elevation gain every day was really, really tough. We probably would do it again when they could walk for a bit longer than what they can at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And did you spend most of your time in Nepal trekking, or did you also stay there longer than that?
We had a 30-day visa, and I think we spent about 20 days in the mountains. There was a few days where we got to about 3,000 meters, and there was this like one tea house and this really, really friendly family that lived there. It was a little girl, about 5, and the boys just like bonded with her, and we were like, do you know what? Let's not just stay here for lunch, let's stay here. And we ended up spending about 4 nights there. And I actually got engaged at the top there as well, which was really sweet.
That's so special. Did you know that was coming, that Phil was going to propose?
I mean, we did discuss getting married and that, but yeah, it was just really sweet moment because the boys went down. Boys were like, what are you doing, Daddy? And went down on one knee as well. So that was really sweet.
That is something so rare and special that you will always get to carry with you. That happened in Nepal, in the mountains. Wow.
Yeah, it's very me.
That's so special. Aww. If you are into making healthy homemade snacks, I wanted to let you know that I have a huge library of homemade muffin recipes. They're all healthy. My goal is to make them nutrient dense with things like fruit, high in protein, whole wheat flour, low in sugar, no dairy. I mean, whatever you're looking for, it's there. The goal is that it won't break the bank and that you can actually find these ingredients, most being in your house. So go to besidethemountain.com/muffins and you'll find all of my recipes. My favorites are the gingerbread pumpkin muffin, the whole wheat apple muffins with banana, and the blender orange muffins. You're gonna love them. If you're looking to hit your protein goals, balance your blood sugar levels, and energize your day, I have just the recipes for you. I have compiled the top high-protein snack recipes from my food blog into a mini e-cookbook. They're easy to make with whole food ingredients. Many of the recipes include nuts, hemp hearts, or eggs as the main source of protein. To get this free ebook, go to besidethemountain.com/protein-ebook or check out the show notes below. Would you share about Vietnam? And I believe that's where you stayed with a host family as well.
Yeah. So in Vietnam, we stayed with a host family in Mai Chai. It was called a village in Mai Chai, kind of central Vietnam. And again, we stayed there for maybe a week. It was just in the middle of the mountains in a valley, and we hired some bikes, and there was actually some really cool hot springs there we found just actually by accident on Google as I was going through the Google Maps. So we spent some lovely evenings with the local family. They cooked some fabulous food for us, and I remember there was an evening where the father of the family was teaching the children how to play the guitar. which was, again, just really, really sweet.
Wow. Maybe you said this, but it cut out. How did you get connected with the host family?
These ones were actually just through booking.com. Yeah, a lot of them you can find on TripAdvisor, but I think a lot of the host families now have put themselves on booking.com.
Okay. And so maybe that's
pretty
a
easy to
more
find.
common thing in Asia.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And was it pretty easy to get bikes with kid seats? Or did you have to hunt for a while to find that?
No, it was pretty easy to find. We found them relatively easy pretty much everywhere we went, really. It was really nice to see lots of children on the back as well. Lots of different families. We were stopping and saying hi.
Oh, so special. Okay. And then from there, from Vietnam, you did go to Australia, is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
And was that planned or was that to get a cheaper flight?
No, we wanted to go to Australia on our backpacking trip in 2019, but we went to New Zealand instead. So we said this time we'd do Australia. We to be honest, we didn't have very high hopes in Australia. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe it'd be more like just cities and beaches, but honestly, it blew our mind. Apart from Nepal, it's probably one of our favorite countries to take the boys. It was just, the lifestyle was incredible there. Everybody's just up early, like always running, hiking. The lifestyle is really, really nice to see. And obviously the weather there is just, amazing, especially compared to the UK. It's always raining.
Yeah. And is there places in Australia that you would recommend to other families?
So we went to the west coast, Perth, where I think is maybe a bit more child friendly. There's less cities, not as busy, and we stayed in a place called Busselton. And actually, a lot of people said, don't go to Busselton, go further south. But we absolutely loved it there. The facilities for the children. On the beach, you had like rock climbing walls, you had like an outdoor swimming pool, a fantastic play area, like barbecue stations, just free parking. And the beach was so great for the children. The waves were like really calm compared to the North beaches in Scarborough or Fremantle. So we spent a lot of time in Busselton because of how child friendly it was.
Okay. Awesome. And is there any beaches that you would recommend?
We went to one beach called, what was the name? I can't quite remember the name. Is it like?
That's okay.
Little. It was on the south, close to Albany.
Okay.
My little beach, but that's the one beach that I think I've been to, and you see pictures of Australia and you think, that's got to be edited. The sea just can't be that blue. The sand can't be that white. And we got to this beach and it was you're just mind blown. It's absolutely incredible. Like, no, nobody edits these photos. The beach is actually this pristine, this beautiful. So, yeah.
Okay, I'll have to get you to send me the name of that and we'll put it in the show notes for anyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Australia. Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, and so your family, are you all vegan? Are you eating vegan? And how is that going on your trip?
So I'd probably say I'm like 90% vegan. I'm getting there.
Okay.
I've actually only been vegetarian for about 8 months now.
Okay.
And my partner Phil, he's been vegetarian since we last came back from traveling. So since 2020, he's been vegetarian, and the boys have been vegetarian, vegan since birth. And we were kind of a little bit nervous going away traveling as vegetarians or like as close to vegans. But honestly, we've had the best food, and I think that's why I've become vegetarian, because the food I had whilst away was just amazing. Really, really amazing.
I feel like Asia is the place to go if you are eating that way.
Yeah, definitely. Just lots of tofu.
Okay, and is there any apps to find specific restaurants, or are you finding things on Google?
So we use an app called the Happy Cow.
Okay.
And an app that just shows you all the vegetarian or the vegan restaurants. So it's much, much easier to use than Google. I find Google quite difficult. You'll type in vegan restaurant and then you'll see like chicken on the menu. Okay. So Happy Cow, yeah, Happy Cow is definitely the one to use if you're vegetarian or vegan and looking for restaurants kind of as you're traveling.
Okay. And tell us how often you are moving and making plans. Are you researching every day, or how does that look?
So we try and not move around too much. We said this year that we wanted to more live rather than travel. So every time we go to a country, we just want to settle into that country and live how the locals live. So that's why we chose just a few countries in Southeast Asia and not to move around too much. And especially if we really find somewhere that we really, really love, then we'll stay. We stayed for 3 months in Malaysia just because it was just so nice.
Yeah, tell us more about Malaysia.
So we spent 3 months in Malaysia because we get a 3-month visa. So we thought let's use the visa length, and we went to Borneo in that time, which wasn't planned actually. We'd only booked that a few days prior to leaving because we thought because of like the wildlife there and lots of things, the things you do is go on boat safaris, and my children are they're a bit wild, so I thought there's no way they're going to be quiet on a boat ride. They're just going to scare these animals away. But we ended up just going, and the boys were fabulous. They were loving like using the binoculars to look for the monkeys in the trees, the crocodiles, the elephant, and they really surprised us. They were really, really great. So I definitely recommend Borneo if you've got children who are interested in wildlife.
Okay, I actually don't know much about Borneo. Is that an island off of Malaysia? Like, is that part of Malaysia?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's part of Malaysia. You have an Indonesian Borneo and a Malaysian Borneo. We went to the Malaysian Borneo.
Okay.
In the Sabah region.
Okay, cool. And then in Malaysia, you were there for 3 months. And how much of that time were you in Borneo?
We spent, I think, 2 weeks in Borneo. And then the rest of the time, we did move around a little bit in Malaysia, but we had a base. We rented an apartment in like a complex with a swimming pool, a gym and play area. So we had that as a base, and we moved around to Georgetown and over to the east coast to the Parahenchen Island, and then back to Kuala Lumpur before traveling back home to the UK.
Okay. And how do you manage family life when you're doing trips like this? Because you're on a sabbatical, you don't have work. Is it an overwhelming amount of family time? Do you guys take turns watching the kids? I know you mentioned you're an introvert. How do you guys split that up? Is there things that you do to kind of make sure your relationship is all good?
Yeah. So I love going to the gym. I think that's my kind of me time. So I'll always make time to, maybe every other day I'll have an hour to go to the gym, or if there's no gym, I like to go for a run. I've just started to try running. So that's something that I really enjoy. I think same for Phil as well. He's more into calisthenics, so he does that, and we just make sure I like to get up early. Phil's the opposite, so I'm up early. I go to the gym, and Phil would do the same in the evening then, and we just taking turns doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm always interested about that because I find, like, on our long trip that we just got off of, I was like, okay, I need alone time. Or I also felt like I needed time with, like, social time, like time beyond just with our family, with other people. And so I found that also a challenge. I don't know if you've been able to. I know other than those interactions with those families, but sometimes you can find people at a park or something. I don't know if you found the desire for that at all while you were traveling.
Yeah, well, recently we had our neighbours actually come visit us in France where we are now, They were with
Okay.
us for 2 weeks, which we said when they left, it was really, really nice to have that extra company and some, other adults to chat to. So yeah, we do really enjoy that as well. And we had Phil's sister and her boyfriend come to visit us. They spent some time in Borneo with us and Malaysia. So we got that bit of time as well for me and Phil, because yeah, you probably think, yeah, the boys go to bed, you get that quality time together, but no, you spend so much time kind of researching what we're going to do tomorrow, the weather, what we're going to do next, and accommodation, booking flights. There's so much time actually spent doing that, because I don't like being on my phone in front of the children. So that time is spent once they're in bed. So yeah, it's definitely
Mm-hmm.
nice to kind of have a break from that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, now I want to hear about, so you kind of did, was it the first half of the year in Asia and then you set aside the second half for Europe? Tell us about how you kind of split that up and kind of what the rest of the year is going to look like.
Yeah, so we decided to come home to do Europe for the summer. A lot of Asia is like rainy season now, so we thought perfect, follow the sun. We'll spend kind of 3 months, 4 months in Europe with the nice weather. And yeah, we came home to get our motorhome, which we only purchased about a year before we left to travel.
Okay.
We didn't really expect to buy a motorhome. That was always, we thought, oh, I'll get a motorhome when we retire. That came about when we went on a 2 week camping holiday in Scotland, and it just rained the whole 2 weeks. Yeah, a few days before packing up leaving home, the tent just got soaked through, and the children were grumpy, we were grumpy, everything was wet. We had like midges all around us, and we were looking around, and these motorhomes were just like, yeah, packing up their cup of tea and leaving, and we were just
Yeah.
just drowning in the rain. So we were like, we want a motorhome. And yeah, kind of on the way back, I was like dreaming, looking for a motorhome, and the next minute, like a few weeks later, we were putting a deposit down on one, picking one up. So yeah, that's how that came about. And yeah,
That's
so
so
we said,
great.
yeah, the second half was going to be spent in a motorhome in Europe.
Okay. I feel like that opens up so many more options and you can be so money savvy with a camper, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'd absolutely love a Land Cruiser with a rooftop tent, but the motorhome is just so practical with kids. So
Yeah.
practical. The storage space, and we've renovated a VW camper before, and just yeah, fitting in a kitchen, a bathroom, all the storage, all the bikes, the two e-bikes, the boys' bike, just like seems a bit impossible in a van. So yeah, this was definitely the not as cool option, but easier option.
That's awesome. You know, maybe you'll go back to the Land Cruiser with the
Yeah,
rooftop tent or
yeah, that'd be really
eventually,
cool.
but I can see right now with toddlers that makes more sense. I'm curious if it
Definitely.
cuts down on research for accommodations because I feel like that's something I always find myself spending a lot of time on. And so do you feel like it narrows it down or does it make a difference?
Yes, well, so far we've been using the app Park for Night, which I think you can get like all over the world.
Okay.
Which I mean, we're in France, and well, our plan was to drive from the UK all the way down to Greece. And I mean, we're over a month into our trip, and we're probably only about 7 hours from home.
Okay.
So France has just been absolutely incredible for van life. There is just so many park ups, free park ups with swimming pools and lakes and rivers that we've just not we've just gone onto the app, looked at where we are, and there's always been somewhere for us to stay. So it's been really, really easy, and I think that's why we're staying in France at the moment, just because it's just so easy going. There's no sitting
Okay.
on your phone stressing about where we're going to sleep tonight. Are we going to be told to move? Yeah.
Okay, so it's just such a popular thing there. That's so awesome to hear. I love that. And so are you saying most or all your nights have been free then?
Either free or around £10, unless we've been on when I said that our friends visited, we did stay in like nice fancy campsites with like a water park. So that was a little bit more, but we're back to either free stays or very cheap stays. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so you said about the perks of the motorhome overall, but I'm curious on maybe your sleep setup or how cooking is going in there. How is that?
Yes, super easy actually. The weather's fabulous here, so we tend to cook outside. We made sure we bought a stove that we can put on a table outside. So pretty much every night we cook outside, and the motorhome's set up really well for sleeping. So we have a bed above on the cab, so the boys sleep up there, and then we've got a pull-out bed where the dining like room is, and we sleep there. The boys normally wake up around midnight every night, so it's normally one of us is on the top, and
Aw.
one of us is always with them.
Yeah, how has sleep been going overall on your whole trip? Have you mostly been sleeping in the same room, and was that an adjustment from coming from home?
Yeah, see, the boys have never been great sleepers, to be honest. They've always been quite unsettled. I think even now, I think they've slept through once in the last 8 months.
Mm, okay.
And they're nearly 4. But as long as we're with them, they just sleep with us all night. And yeah, if they're with us, they will sleep. Yeah, they don't sleep very well on their own.
Okay. Like in the same
Yeah.
room? Or do you mean co-sleeping?
Yes, I know co-sleeping. Yeah, I don't think they've slept in their own room.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and tell us now what the plan is kind of moving forward now. What does the rest of your year look like?
So yeah, we have to be back in the UK before the October the 15th because our visa runs out. We only have 3 months in Europe. But to be honest, the weather cools down a little bit in Europe, so it's probably a good time for us to go back and have a bit of a reset. We're still thinking about what to do. Our money is very kind of running out, so it really depends on our finances by October. We would absolutely love to go to Costa Rica and Mexico to spend the last few months. Um, but yeah, we'll just have to see how our finances pan out. If we get to Mexico and Costa Rica, that would be amazing. So
Okay.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and are you budgeting per month or do you have a budget or are you just trying to spend as little as possible?
Yeah, we don't necessarily have a budget, but we just really spend as little as possible. We have a mortgage at home, so yeah, paying kind of having the house as well. We have a loan on the motorhome, so we have to budget those factors in as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just making like little tiny savings every day. Like we always make a coffee in the camper van before we go out, so we're not spending too much money on and coffee and cake as we're out. So yeah, just being a little bit careful, and hopefully it will last to the end of the year.
Yeah. Okay. It's so encouraging to hear, though, that you saved and you're doing it. And I think those are the things that you can tweak and change and say, no, we won't have a pastry today or we won't have a coffee, but we are in France and we're in our motorhome and that's so special.
Yeah, yeah.
So, as we close out, I have kind of 3 questions I always ask, but maybe I'll make them a bit more specific to your trip. And I want to know if you have encouragement for moms or families that want to take a leap on doing a really big international trip. What's your encouragement to them?
I think for us, I've always kind of wanted to inspire those in like a similar circumstance to us that have a dream, but just kind of worried that they might not maybe be able to make it happen. So I've always said that like we aren't unique as a family. We haven't like sold our house to go traveling. We haven't got inheritance. We don't even have remote jobs. We can't make money on the road. So for us, like, I really want to inspire families who, yeah, like really have to work hard. You know, we worked hard for 2 years to make this happen. And I always say that if you work hard and you have a plan or you have a dream, whether it be international trips or trips in your own country, if you want to make that happen, then you can do. Because yeah, we're nothing special. We don't have high paid jobs. You just have to really, really work hard, and you'll make it happen.
Yes, that's so good. That's so, so true. And
Yeah.
can you share one of your favorite moments with your kids from this year?
Yeah, I think our favorite moments is, I think I said before, just in Nepal, and yeah, getting onto that bus and the children being in the back with the locals, and the locals singing and dancing, and they're sitting on their knee, and just seeing their little faces. Yeah, I think that was just like a really, really special moment. Being on that top at 3,000 meters, the playing in the dirt all day long. That for us, like, is really memorable over kind of anything else. Although it seems like really small, but just playing with the little girl is it's really cute.
So special. And you guys will remember that forever. And our kids are so lucky that they first off have an incredible memory, I think, better than us. And secondly, because they have photos and videos, they remember things so well. And then they can pull it up and they have this, photo album with them. It's just different than when we were growing up.
Yeah, they've really surprised us actually. We'll like show them a picture of them in Thailand, and they'll say something about that day, and it's like, wow, you remember that? You'd only just turned 3, and you remembered that from 8 months ago. And we've had a few people actually say, like, why are you doing it now? They're only 3. They're not going to remember it. Yeah, you kind of then they pull back memories from kind of the early days of them traveling. It's like, well, actually, no, I think they do remember, and you kind of think, well, why would you not take them traveling just because they don't remember it? Like you wouldn't read them. You still read them books when they're babies. You sing them songs. Like, it's the same thing. If you say there's no point traveling, well, there's no point reading a book. Like, it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That's such a good point. I haven't thought about it that way, but you're so right. And it's truly shaping them, like these other things that we're doing with them at this season in time. It's forming them as a person. And so I think it's such a beautiful way to do that together as a family.
Yeah, it's really, really funny. They when we went home for those 3 weeks, they were talking about wanting to go and see the rainforest. Obviously, we don't have rainforest in the UK, and they wanted like soy sauce on their chips instead of ketchup. Yeah, just like little tiny moments like that. It's just been really funny, and like, no, you really take in the culture.
Yeah.
And more than you actually think.
I love that. That's so special. Thank you so much for chatting today, Emily. Would you please share with the listeners and this community where they can connect and follow along further with you?
Yeah, so we're called Got Busy Living on Instagram, and trying to constantly add like stories on there and some posts. So yeah, Instagram at Got Busy Living. We're not on TikTok. I'm not very good at doing all the real things, but yeah, Instagram is the place.
Good, awesome. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Hey, thanks for listening today. I'd love to invite you to join our Facebook group, the Let's Go Outside Facebook group. It's where the conversation keeps going with other moms. We kind of chat about what our favorite places are. I like to encourage people. It's just a really cool place to meet more moms. So you'll find the link to that group in the show notes, along with everything we mentioned today, whether that's gear or the places that we like to explore. So thank you for being here and being a part of this community.